Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Keynes, and Ed Mann.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Three Devs and a Maybe, and you are joining us for a very, very special episode because for one night only we are three devs and a maybe and a designer, and we have a very special guest, like I say, which is Justin DeLucia. Hello Justin.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Long time no speak.
It's been a while.
Ed, it's nice to have a bit of company this time, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes. Well,
You guys did a great job. Really good.
Thank you.
I
I thought I was just rambling on for a... Yeah.
Oh, an hour and 40 minutes. We actually rambled on full without realising last week.
It was good rambling though. It was. I thought it was really interesting.
Structured rambling.
It was.
Word voice. Yeah.
We went off in more tangents than something that has a lot of tangents.
Indeed.
Well said, Lewis. Well said.
Yeah. So I should have
Totally
thought more about that one before I carried it on.
I totally agree.
So I should probably explain. Justin is a designer who works for 360 Software Solutions, and at one point or another, we have all worked together. So he's a very good friend of the show and a brilliant designer. So we're really lucky to have him on this show tonight.
And he's a huge fan of the show as well.
Yes, he's our number one fan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've listened to every single episode.
You're so
Have you?
sad.
Have you?
I don't believe you.
Have you listened to any yet?
What?
Have you listened to any yet?
No.
I hate you so much.
Oh,
So you come on and you think you own the place.
there goes my pop quiz.
I have listened to part of one.
I've listened to 5 minutes and realised, oh no, this isn't what I want to listen to.
Right. I'm going to download the whole back catalogue and get stuck in.
Like binge on
And then
TV
listen
shows,
to the whole
but binge
back
on
catalogue.
Three Devs.
Yeah, and I'm going to have pictures of all your faces in front of me while I listen.
Standard. Okay. So, Justin, as you haven't listened to our show before, basically at this point in the show, I usually go around and just see how everyone's week has been and to find out if they've basically learned anything development-wise or any other interesting stuff. But really, I should start with you guys all went out on Saturday night.
Yeah,
You did, and you weren't there.
Boo.
I wasn't there. No, sorry about that.
What was the excuse? Sorry, I don't think I actually got a reason for that.
I was just absolutely rammed.
Lies. Hashtag lies. Hashtag lies.
Uni work. Just
Lies.
Hashtag lies, basically. Yeah, I
Only joking.
yeah.
No, you're coming definitely out to the next one though, sir. It was.
I will definitely be there because that's going to be for Lou's birthday, I believe. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah. 29th, 24th or 5th of May. It's on the Sunday that weekend.
Yeah. So are we right in saying can we invite everyone from the Three Devs universe?
Well, yeah,
Any
I'm not going to obviously give all the details out here because obviously all 24 of our followers might turn up or however many.
No, I think
We don't
we should open up to everyone that listens that won't turn up and all.
You know, I was thinking that would be a really cool idea one time, just to say,
Yeah.
look, we're going to
Come to Lou's birthday.
Yeah, possibly
There's
not there.
cake.
Yeah, maybe not Lou's birthday, but another time. It'd be awesome. Anyway, I'm going to do this in a structured way because otherwise we're going to be talking over each other. But let's start off with you, Lou. How's your week been?
My week has been uneventful, I guess, really. It's the main projects I've been working on is kind of ground to a halt because I'm still waiting on content. Me and Ed talked about that last week. So
Don't you just love it? You know, content. The one thing they need to do.
Yes. And my boss said yesterday that he'd been in touch with them and all they were doing was passing the buck backwards and forwards between them. So
Lovely.
that's not going to change anytime soon. So I've just been spending a lot of time refactoring and trying to improve my own framework, to be honest. So I've been messing around with that.
That's going well.
It's going very well, actually. Yeah, I've had a good day on it today. I've added in... Well, I've refactored 2 or 3 of my classes, which has been nice. I managed to strip out a lot of lines, which is always good. I've added in a pagination class today, which was good fun. And I've also messed around with composer auto-loading, which I'll discuss in a bit when we come to the next bit. So, other than that, no, there's not really been that much going on from my point of view. I wish there was. I wish I was a bit busier because the days are going a bit slow. But yeah, we all go through these spells, don't we?
What about your highlight of Saturday night?
I like that. That's a good question.
Ed, can you remember what it would have been?
My highlight is probably my low light. So yeah,
Now Ed's quite a tall man, as you guys know. How tall are you, Ed?
6'2" or 3", I think.
So to fall over from that height must be a pretty harrowing experience in a packed bar onto a wooden floor.
Ooh.
Which bar was it?
And at Thorin's. You were there. Oh, you probably. You may have been there,
then.
Fraser.
Oh dear.
None of us can. It is a bit like Hangover the movie, actually, sitting there the day after and trying to figure out everything. But we were all just stood chatting, and then I still don't know what happened, Ed. You just fell over backwards.
I think I was trying.
I
was trying to get to a chair that didn't exist. Now, in my defence, it was there in my head. It just wasn't there in real life. So.
Lewis, are you going to mention what happened with your phone as well?
Oh, yeah, Lou. What happened with your phone? You almost lost it again.
Oh, God, I did, didn't I?
To remind me, that's why you lost it.
Because this girl has to run out and say, is this someone's phone? It's like, of course it has to be Lou's.
I've just beautifully illustrated how bad my memory is again there, haven't I, by not even remembering that. No, yeah, I left it.
And that was quite early on in the night, actually.
Yeah, I know, but the damage had been done by then.
Yeah, and it must be said as well. Like the last time we all went out together, he left his phone on the train.
His nice iPhone 5. Oh,
to be honest, this one it probably wouldn't have been the end of the world if I didn't get it back because it is the worst phone ever invented. But the nice lady from the bar came out running after me and gave it back.
She's probably looked on eBay and says, "I'm going to get nothing for this. I might as just be nice now."
Is this the BlackBerry?
Yeah.
Oh man, I hated my BlackBerry so much.
I swear, no matter how hard I try, I cannot lose the thing.
Maybe subconsciously you left it there. Just hoping, but no.
Well, that's the problem with Blackberries because people are leaving them around everywhere because no one wants one. So it's probably a different phone, but you haven't realised.
That's a good point.
Got a Blackberry Messenger, you're fine.
But Ed, what was the extent of the damage on Sunday?
Well, Sunday I didn't actually do much. By not do much, I mean I stayed in bed all day.
Yeah.
I haven't drunk that much in a while. I don't condone it. But it was one of those nights that just, it was funny.
Flowed it was very funny.
Yeah, interesting night. And yeah, I didn't actually feel that sore the day after. But I do remember that. But I do remember stacking it though and thinking, why am I on the floor? And I thought, this is awkward. In any other scenario, this would be awkward, but not when you're drunk.
Nice.
The only thing was, there was quite a hefty flight of stairs about 4 yards to your left, so it could have been worse.
Man. I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Mr. Hart, how has your week been?
My week has been fairly standard. I've been working on pretty much the same project that I've been working on for the last 6 months, which has been fantastic. But it does look as though it's finally coming to a close because they've got someone to work full-time, or they've just hired a junior to work full-time on it anyway, which is positive. So hopefully I'll be able to palm off some of that work and then get onto some other stuff. And I've been playing around with CodeKit 2 because I listened to the podcast last week and then heard Ed mention that CodeKit 2 had come out.
Yeah.
Like two minutes after he mentioned that, I went out and upgraded my CodeKit 1, and it's really, really good, man. I was showing Justin it the other day when I first downloaded it. And it's just really good. The live reload is just phenomenal on it. Where live reload on it before was pretty good anyway, because you could it would refresh your active browser. This you can connect to any device to, so you can get any device on your local network. You can get the website up on that device, and then every time you do, you save, it'll compile everything for you, and it'll feed the updates out to every device that you got connected to it as well. So you've got like your iPhone and your iPad and your Android and a Windows PC running IE6 or whatever, and
that's so really cool, isn't it?
Really.
Does it work with virtual machines as well?
Yes, as long as they're connected to the same network.
Just have a boatload of screen monitors up when you're deving and be able to just have a quick glance at it. How's Bower support? Have you had a little play with that at all? The package manager.
I have no idea what Bower is.
It's like Twitter's package manager type thing. They integrated it in there, which is quite good. So it allows you to download jQuery and stuff, more like Composer style.
Do you mean Twitter?
So
you said Twitter. Did you mean Twitter?
Oh yeah, Twitter. Bauer's Twitter's like they.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's my bad.
Yeah, I've not touched that, but I'll have to have a little play with it. And so that was good. Then I got this weekend was a bit of a flurry of activity. I had my VHF radio course for the road that I'm doing, and on Saturday, and then met up with you lot obviously on Saturday night. Turned up about 2 hours after they'd all started drinking, and then had about 2 drinks, and then left about 4 hours before they left by the sound. I had a first aid course on the Sunday, so I wanted to get away at a reasonable time. So I was gone at about midnight. And I had a little bit of freelance that I was working on Sunday, which is just part of a bigger project. So it was good to actually get into that.
Yeah, that's gone quite smoothly, is it?
Yeah, it's been alright so far. I've not done a huge amount on it. It's basically a website that I built for a freelance project a little while ago. They wanted an e-commerce store integrated into it, so it's on Silverstripe. So Silverstripe's got an e-commerce module called SwipeStripe. I've played around with it a little bit before, but this is the first time I'm actually properly getting my hands dirty with it. So it's going to be an interesting learning curve anyway. And I need to do they've got all these modules for payment integration. So I think they've got a PayPal module and a couple of the other ones. But the people that I'm doing the build for want to use WorldPay. So I need to get my hands dirty with building a WorldPay module. And I absolutely hate payment integration. So it's going to be an interesting one. So yeah, Ed, you'll be getting a phone call in a few weeks.
And the radio course, take it, that was quite intense, was it?
It was sort of kind of intense. Like I was proper crap in my pants. I was going to fail the exam because I need the certificate, I need the license to be able to enter this race.
Yeah.
And then so I was proper stressing. Did the exam, like kind of found out that I did fine in the exam. And at the end of it, I said to the examiner, so how many people do you roughly fail? And he's like, I've failed like 2 people in my life because they couldn't speak English. So I spent the whole time thinking the worst that could have happened. But yeah, it all went fine.
Ed would have felt that on Saturday night then.
Yes.
If it involves staying up straight, I would have too as well, yeah. So,
I remember conversations with you on Saturday night, Ed, and like I remember sitting there, it must have been like half an hour conversation of, I love doing podcasts. Honestly, like both of us, it was good, man.
Oh, I do remember that vaguely, yes. I do like doing podcasts, indeedy.
That leads quite nicely to you, Edman, then. How's your week been?
Good, man, yeah. Yeah, I didn't do much at the weekend. It was a pretty bland weekend, to be honest.
Naturally,
absolutely.
You just forgotten it.
Just forgotten it, that's it. I've got no brain, yeah. Other than that, freelance stuff, still plodding along. I was able to release a new blog post this morning. I
saw a few you've done this week, right?
Yeah, I've done a couple, but the main one this week probably is the introduction to creating a basic PHP extension in C. So
nice.
So actually having a little look into actually, making a PHP extension in the language, that PHP's written in and compiling it and all that stuff. And yeah, it's once you get around the idea of like what you need, what files you need, and there's a lot of bootstrap files and stuff like that, it's not that hard to grasp it. And I'm actually pretty sure that if you just having a PHP background and like that C structure and stuff, you could easily pick up, the syntax and stuff for C in this style they use, because they use a lot of macros and stuff like these things which just generate the code for you. But so I did that, made like a little hello world type thing and made like just a simple thing there, and so it's been pretty cool week.
Ed, what did you do this in again?
So the creating a basic thingy,
PHP extension in what?
Oh no, so you write it in C. So because PHP
in C,
so PHP is written in C, and then what you're doing is just making an extension that's actually pretty much native, so it's compiled down when you actually you compile it with PHP.
And I only know it in B flat.
But it's pretty. Check out this blog post and see it, because it's not that much code really. It's not too intimidating.
Yeah, I will check that out at some point when I've got like 5 minutes free. At the moment, it's pretty mental. But I'm going to ask our special guest, Justin, how has your week been? What have you been working on? And any other stuff you want to share with the group?
Yeah. Well, hello.
Hello.
It's been a good week actually. Really exciting stuff going on. Been working on quite a wide range of stuff. Few freelance projects that I'm quite excited about, as well as obviously like my other job. Tend to be doing more and more project management, funnily enough, which actually I think the longer I spend in a design role, it seems to be part and parcel of having a vision for a project, and then you have to take responsibility, I think, for seeing that through and making sure that's what it ends up as. So
you think those two things are very closely connected now?
I think so. I think it's one of those things that as time goes on, I think I'll probably have a better idea of it. But I think it makes sense for the designer typically to be at least key involved in that side of things, because in that sense you're constantly connected with the project, as opposed to having like large gaps of time where you're not sure what's going on, you haven't seen it, and then it may even be, because we're typically in a commercial world, you get to a point where maybe you've been disconnected with the project and you come back involved, and it's like we can't afford to do any serious changes now because it's too late. It's got to go live now because the client needs it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of get my head around that, which is interesting. But then, yeah, doing a few of my own bits in my own time, which has been really fun. I did my my first WordPress site the other day, in the sense of a fully fledged WordPress site that I didn't develop a custom theme for it, which I really wanted to do, but I didn't have the time. So I ended up buying a responsive template, and then I basically just customized the styles for it. And some of the responsive styles weren't very good, and it was breaking a bit on some devices. So played around that, tidied it up, and it's really fun to see it go live. And this particular one is a shop for a business of my sister's, and it's doing really well. So that's always really fun when you can, especially as a designer, you can dip your toe in the other sort of the other court.
Yeah. Well,
there's another project you've been working on as well, isn't there, Justin? Something to do with like jobs and
Oh yeah. That's probably worth mentioning.
What's the URL for this?
Off the top of your head.
It's webdesignjobsinkent.co.uk.
Nice.
And at the moment, it's just a one-page website, just with a bit of branding on and just a little bit of spiel explaining the idea of what we're doing. But essentially, myself and Fraser, the idea behind it is providing a one-stop sort of point of contact for either developers or designers looking for work in the web industry, or employers wishing to advertise work, and just making it really, really simple, and making sure that either of those two people can get the information they need like instantly. So currently, because it's about to launch, or because it's only just launched and we need content and we want to try and work our way up the search engines, we're advertising. We've got 8 free slots for potential advertisers out there, 8 free job posts, and it's on a first come, first served basis. So as soon as they're gone, they're gone. And after that, there'll be a small cost to post a job on a monthly basis.
Well, I think I said to Fraser, I think it's a wicked idea. I'm quite jealous that you got in there before I did, but I think best of luck to you. I think you'll do really well there. And there's not too many things out there like it, to be honest with you. So I'll definitely if we need someone at our place next time, I'll definitely recommend you to my boss and stuff. But best of luck with that. But
can I just say something quickly? I own the domain kentwebdevelopers.co.uk.
Oh, really?
And I reckon there must be something we could try and tie in together with this, because I don't know, it's a cool domain, and my initial idea was it just to be like a forum site for Kent web developers, but there might be an opportunity there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely worth thinking about. Anyway, I guess there's loads of stuff you can do with it.
There doesn't seem to be any like real communal kind of, for local people in Kent sort of areas online to do this. So, I mean, it is a brilliant idea.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
you mentioned the R word, which I think we'll come on to in a bit. It's a bit premature to come into now. The responsive word. But I'm just interested in what you were saying about.
Does that bring back nightmares for you?
It really does.
This is why we don't have the Skype window open when we're doing the podcast.
That's not the only reason. We all know that Michael's naked.
Oh, let's keep it clean. It's a family show. But what you were saying about account management and design, one of the things I really miss since leaving 360, which by the way is pretty much a year to the day, which you and Fraser will probably already know. You probably had a candle lit in the office today or something, but awesome. But one of the things I missed was, I thought what you did really well, Justin. I don't want to get all mushy here, but if you when you started a project, we'd sit down and we'd talk through the design, and you would make it really clear the kind of things like design that were really important to you, like the box shadow, the kind of things that a developer might cheekily try and just leave out because it's quicker.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'd never do that. Speak for yourself.
Not just that, but having a meeting with you in 2 days' time to see how it's going. I guess in some ways it's kind of like the agile approach, right? But I thought you did a really good job of that, and I really miss that, because our designer is in Cornwall. So he's a great designer as well, but it's a very different work process. So,
just out of interest, what's it like working with someone over distance in that respect? Like, how's that change things?
Well, I mean, I don't have too much to do with them because I literally don't do any front end stuff anymore. I don't do any at all. So we literally have dedicated front end developers, dedicated back end developers, and then we have 2 designers. And but yeah, to be honest with you, I think it works pretty well. But we do a lot of conversations over Skype, which I do find a bit tiring at times because a lot of it's typing and it's not that quick. But generally, that should be one of the nice parts of our job, I think, is that we shouldn't be tied to a location. We're web developers, designers, we could be all over the world, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it works pretty well. But anyway, I don't want to hog the mic. But has anyone got any sort of libraries, plugins, tips, anything like that they want to chip in that they've been using this week?
I've got something I can contribute actually, which bit of a curveball, and it's not really a straightforward dev thing. In fact, it's not a dev thing at all. But you might be interested in it, and I think everyone should find out about it just because I think it's really interesting.
Is it Pogs?
Yes. I was just trolling through the Web Ahead podcast the other day, which Ed very kindly got me onto.
Yes. Oh, that's very different. Is
that Weatherhead or Leatherhead?
The T-shirt ahead, I think, is the.
I don't typically listen to each one, but I tend to pick and choose. And this one popped out to me, and I thought it sounded really interesting, which was the content structure with Steve Fisher. I don't know if anyone else has listened to that.
I haven't listened to that one yet, actually.
It's really interesting because it talks about a whole other approach, basically, to like structuring your content, and they talk about things like atomic content, which is like kind of the ability to boil your content down to a single thing, like a single atom, which everything else comes around and revolves around. Wow. And I thought, both from a development and design perspective, that was a really interesting concept just to think about. So that's my 2 pennies worth. You should go and listen to that one. It's quite good.
Sweet. I've just clicked onto the Web Ahead website for the podcast. And is Jen Simmons, is she the host on that?
She is indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, because we got a T-shirt with Jen Simmons on for his birthday about a year ago, didn't we? And then we tweeted it to her and it just fell into a black hole. So, yeah,
do you remember that?
Like her.
I'm vaguely familiar with it.
Do you still have the T-shirt?
I do still have the T-shirt.
Yes.
Maybe it should be a night out thing.
Next time we go out.
Oh, man. Anyone else? Anyone got anything?
I do.
Yeah.
So I've been playing around with my CV this week a bit.
Yeah.
And doing your CV is so boring. Like you open up Word or open Office or whatever you do, and it's like we're devs, we want to make it a little bit more interesting. So I decided, I looked online, I was like, it'd be quite cool to actually use something like Markdown. I'd be able to write it like that and export it to different formats. Say stuff like maybe I want to export it to HTML, export it to PDF, export it to docx, export it to TXT file if they want it like that. So there's this program called PanDoc. And it's written in Haskell, but it's actually just it's a Haskell library, but it's actually there's a command line utility, and so PanDoc's got the ability to be able to literally it has everything. The ability, Swiss Army knife, to be able to convert one format to another. So you say you pass it a Markdown file, and then you're able to say, okay, here's the Markdown file, and I want you to now export it into HTML, and it will allow you to dump it into HTML for you, and then in there you're able just to style it the way you want, and that's what I've started doing now, and it's great for quickly updating your CV, where I want a couple of formats. So I want it in PDF, I want it in. And actually, talking about the PDF for it is me and Lou. We met up last week and we had a little bit of fun with the PDF DOM, wasn't it, Lou?
DOM PDF.
DOM PDF, indeed. Yeah, and I think
I wouldn't call it fun.
It
wasn't fun.
Yeah, define fun, I think, isn't it? But so I've been using. So one of the things it does though is when it does PDFs, it converts it into LaTeX format, which you don't really know, but it's like an academic format for PDFs and academic records and stuff. So what I did instead was I was like, well, hang on a minute. What I do is I've got my HTML version, and I use something called what is it called? Should be prepared for this, shouldn't I? It's called Q.
So
silent pause. While
we wait for Ed.
Is this awkward? I was prepared, I swear. It crashed, pop-ups and all that, you know. Yes, right, so it's called WKHTML2 PDF. And it's WebKit to HTML to PDF. And all that is a command line program that you're able then to say, here's the HTML page, make a PDF out of this. But it also allows you to supply arguments for like custom CSS that you only want to be included in that PDF. So stuff like, you know, you've got your screen media and you've got your print media. This way you're able then to have that kind of, you know, delegation when you actually, because, you know, there's certain things in the HTML one that I don't want to show in the PDF version. And that this way I'm able then to keep the same pretty much markdown file and then just export them the way I want them each individual one. Hello.
Cool. That sounds very cool. Very cool. Anyone else?
I do. I've got a couple. I didn't want to jump in front of everyone.
Right, go for it.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, I've been messing around with my own framework a lot this week. So I've been, first of all, looking at the security side of things, and this is something that I definitely like to use libraries for. And cross-site scripting, obviously a dangerous thing for any website. I found a nice little library through Packagist called HTML Purifier, which is nice and easy. It basically all it essentially does is it has a massive list of whitelisted characters which are fine, and it just keeps those in and strips everything else out, and returns codes and strings that validate in the browser. So it's quite good.
Nice.
That was the first thing that I've learned. I'll put a link to that. And the second thing, was messing around with the other autoload features of Composer. Have you used these much, Ed?
Oh, the file ones are pretty cool, aren't they?
Just using the actual autoload thing, like to load classes and files in automatically from your directories and stuff, actually in your project.
Oh, very cool.
Have you done much of that? Or?
I've not.
I've done a bit with the blog and stuff. I did. There was like a custom, like when I wanted to load up my own class, like my own namespacing and stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's much easier because I had a whole function written out that used is it SPL autoload register, whatever it was, and everything that was working fine. But then I just stumbled across this tutorial today that showed about using adding this thing into your composer.json file with an autoload object, a class map object where you put your directories in, and then you just run composer update, and it just automatically autoloads all of those. And I think then there's another you can pass files to it as well and autoload specific files. So rather than trying to do it through my code, I think a lot of it is doable through here, which I didn't even realize. I thought Composer was mainly for obviously getting your third party libraries into your project, but there are tools to actually help you with your own stuff as well.
It's very cool, isn't it? Because you're able to define it in JSON, and then it just creates you the files for you.
It does, yeah. It gives you a nice PHP array of everything.
They're very nice to see. Like, actually, if you go in to look in the vendor directory, you can see it. Like, they are a bit. Yeah. There's a bit of like weird stuff that they do, random generated class names, but you can see the structure, and it's good to learn how actual a good laid out SPL autoload is actually done.
Yeah, in the autoload class map file, which is where everything goes into, I had 25 lines in it. I thought this would be interesting to have a quick look at Laravel to see how many. Have a guess. This is my quiz question.
You've got 20.
Ballpark 25. Mine was.
All right, over under. I reckon it's over 150.
Yes, definitely.
Really?
Well over. Yeah.
Wow.
over 1,600.
What? Is that just namespaces or classes that are
in autoload class map? Yeah, classes that are automatically loaded.
And wow, that's a big file.
Over 1,600. It's a big old project. But yeah, alongside that, I then started playing around with namespacing, which is an area of PHP I've kind of haven't used that much before. I totally understand why it needs to be used to make sure obviously class methods don't clash with each other, but I'd never implemented it, and I realised that I need to get that into this framework that I'm doing, but it's a bit fiddlier than I thought. You obviously allocate your namespaces to your classes, and then you have to use the use keyword, don't you, and put that in specific places where stuff's being loaded. So I've been messing around with that today, and I think
you had a good tweet though, didn't you? Which I liked. Yeah. That video was really good.
Yeah, Jesse Ream, Jay Ream, he's a guy that I come back to repeatedly for like general tutorials and stuff on YouTube. He's one of the guys that's really easy to understand and makes it interesting. So I looked at that. There's a link to that on my Twitter page, and I'm studying namespaces. That's kind of my main thing at the moment. So I might discuss this with you tomorrow evening, Ed.
No worries, sir. Very nice, very cool.
So I've been keeping myself busy from that point of view. So
okay. Perhaps you could put some of those tutorials in the show notes. Then that guy you were just mentioning, that'd be awesome.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Nice.
I do have one more thing. GitHub's. This is one thing I forgot to mention last week.
Atom.
Yeah.
Because I was going to bring this up.
I've been playing around with it for the whole week, and it's very cool.
So, what did you request an invite on the site?
I didn't. Hacker News. There was a way of going around it with a wget with some special headers, and you're able to literally So it was quite interesting. So I downloaded it, and it's pretty awesome. It is very.
Is it that good?
It is. It's similar to Sublime, but it's got it's the web stack. So it is legitly. CSS, you style, themes are styled in CSS. You can code plugins in JavaScript. It's got full Node.js support, so you can manipulate the file system and also write to the DOM, because it's actually got a DOM, the actual text editor has.
Yeah.
All in a single JavaScript file. You mix up the Node and the browser APIs, and it is pretty cool. Some of the stuff they do at the moment, they've got very similar like project loading thing, like that Sublime has, which is cool. But it's nice to be able to write in the language that we're familiar, languages we're familiar with, which is the web stack. Not that Sublime uses Python, so I've got my Python in for the week. But but it is a very interesting project, and because it's backed by GitHub, there's a lot of traction behind it.
Yeah, and do you think it'll become your main editor rather than Sublime?
You know what? I think it may actually.
Do you?
I
That's
do.
Quite a bold claim.
It is quite interesting because of the fact that it's a web stack. All the stuff you can do. Like at the moment, there's one of these examples where you have you have your Markdown preview editor. Well, you can have it inside the browser now. It's technically in a browser because it's technically inside of your text editor. So in a very simple way. So it's quite cool.
Have you tried brackets?
So I've never tried, but I have heard of brackets. Have you ever had a little play around brackets?
I've had a little play with it. I installed it on my work machine a few weeks ago, and it was slow to the point of unusable. And I was using it on a fairly big project with, I think it was on Laravel, the project, and it had obviously all the different files and stuff. So it was a big old thing, but it was. Yeah, like you click on even in terms of loading up, you click on the icon, and then I had to wait 10 seconds before I could do anything. Then when I opened the project, it just kept freezing. So I quickly closed it.
That's it, because that's in JavaScript as well, isn't it? I think
it is. Yeah, that's their big selling point.
Is that Adobe's? Is it not Adobe? I don't know if I'm.
I don't know who makes that,
because I know that Adobe's made a couple. They're trying to find a web, because obviously Dreamweaver and Photoshop, the in between of those to kind of have this development platform.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find one. So it's interesting.
Yes.
Brackets is Adobe's.
It is Adobe. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I didn't.
It kind of looks like they're trying to grab the last rung on the ladder as they're falling out of.
That's it. Exactly. They're like anything that will stick. It's like you don't want Dreamweaver. No, come back.
Yeah. Yeah, because 7 or 10 years ago or something, I guess Adobe and Macromedia, when Dreamweaver was with Macromedia, they were the.
Oh, it was the best thing. It was that front page, wasn't it? It was those two.
Oh, completely.
And that was all you'd use. Maybe a bit of fireworks as well. And it's like,
GSS, totally. And it's just it just seems to be falling off anyway. And as soon as I can find a decent replacement for Photoshop, then I'll ditch that as well.
What about GIMP?
I don't really like GIMP. I've tried it. I've tried to wean myself onto it, but I find that it doesn't really work very nicely with Photoshop created PSDs. It's not that reliable, but it's a shame because I like the idea of it. But it's nothing close to Photoshop.
Photoshop's still considered the leading player, is it?
Yeah,
Justin probably know better than us.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a good choice, actually.
As far as I'm concerned, it's what people that I speak to is what they're all still using. Fireworks, you do come across people every now and again using it, but
because our boss screams wonders for fireworks, doesn't he? And he won't hear anything against it. Like if you try and say, Photoshop's better.
Has it been updated? Is it part of the latest CC pack there is? Oh wow, so they are still. Yeah. What is the difference between the two? I'm really confused.
No, I've got it. There's no. I can't see any difference.
I know that Photoshop's got more stuff, but what is fire?
Oh, you mean between those?
What's fireworks actually got that?
Does it do vectors better or?
I don't really know what it's got in the new versions because I'm still on 6, so I can't quite tell the difference. But it's kind of trying to be a cross between Photoshop and Dreamweaver and that kind of intermediate platform. And it's basically, as far as I'm aware, it's there to enable you to design for digital stuff really easily, but
doesn't really then work if no one's like.
No, I just don't find it works well. It's not as easy to use as Dreamweaver, as Photoshop, but I'm sure it could be. I'm sure it's just one of those workflow things. You get used to something, and that's just what you're quicker in.
So, is there any alternative in the web game type thing other than Photoshop that you would, other than Fireworks, obviously, but like one that you would say this is kind of, even if it's like a new application, but like something in the right direction of what you want, or is Photoshop good enough?
From my point of view, I think Photoshop's still amazing. I absolutely love it. I think the thing that's brought Photoshop to life for me over the past year has been like the availability in the kind of new plugins that are coming out that you can buy for it, especially ones by Source. It's a bit of a plug, but they're really good. Things like I'm just trying to remember the ones I've downloaded. So Enigma would be one of them, and that's basically like a one-click export. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, actually. You may not be, but for a developer, like when I'm giving the project over, it makes a huge difference. So if you're working from a PSD, and instead of having to chop it up and laboriously kind of extract things from it,
destroy it really is another word to use.
Yeah. A plugin like Enigma will enable you to set some preferences. So you say, okay, here's my export folder. I want them all as PNGs, and they're going to be progressive, or JPEGs, and they're going to be 80% quality. And then you go through the layers. You find the layer you want to export. You just select the layer and click export, and it's gone into your supply folder. And you can just do that throughout the whole document, and it will perfectly cut out every layer you export.
Oh, wow,
that sounds cool. That sounds Enigma. That's called. It's
called Enigma. Honestly, it will save you hours. And the cool thing about it is, like say you've got an effect on that layer, and you've got a shadow on it or something like that. It will perfectly cut out the shadow, so you don't have to do any of that hard work.
That does sound pretty cool.
It's really cool. It saved me so much time. The other one being CSS Hat, which is made by the same people, and another.
You recommended that, Justin.
What's that? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Something, yeah.
I saw Jez using that the other day as well.
Oh, yes, it's fantastic. So again, it's classic. It's a classic lifesaver for me, because I designed something maybe with a really complex shadow or complex effect, and instead of the developer spending ages trying to guess or trying to work out how to put that into CSS, you literally select the layer and you open the plugin within Photoshop, and it will give you the CSS for that effect, and it will be virtually identical as what's in the PSD. So you just copy and paste it.
So you're saying us going to CSS3, gradient generators isn't good enough for you now? Thinking, oh yeah, that's enough. The designer.
That's all I have.
And doing the standard 5 pixel RGBA with zeros and 0.5 opacity. Fits in every.
I just think these are all great topics, and we should definitely go into this. But I was thinking to start off with, hopefully, if there's anyone listening who's actually wants to go down the web design route rather than development, and is perhaps tuning in just to find out some of Justin's story, I think it'd be a good idea if you fancy just talking about how you got into design, how you got into web design, and any tips and all that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if this is a kind of unconventional route in or not, but I think it probably relates to a lot of people in the web industry already, in that, we kind of grew up really before the web had taken off, and certainly before it was mainstream and being used in business a lot. So when I finished school, I went straight to art college and did an art foundation, and because I was interested in the creative arts, and I didn't know what that looked like if I wanted to turn it into a career. So that's the way you can dip your toe in. So I did my art foundation, and at that time, the web was just one of those things. It wasn't big, you didn't use it very often. you had to dial in, all that kind of stuff. It makes me sound really old, but it's amazing how it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And the emphasis, and maybe this was the college I went to, but the emphasis was very much on, still fine art and going through the traditional routes. And that didn't appeal to me, because I was more interested in like digital stuff, and I spent the majority of my time like in the Mac suite, even though, back then the Photoshop was really old. It must have been on Photoshop 2 or something like that. I don't know. And it, you couldn't do half the things you can do with it now. But so I kind of left art college a little bit disillusioned, and not really thinking I could actually go on and use that and do something really creative in the way I wanted to, or not quite understanding the route and how to do that. And I basically took another year out and went to music college, and then I ended up going to university and doing something completely different, which was Spanish and psychology, for various reasons. And then during my degree and towards the end of my degree, I realised that actually, the things I enjoy the most are the creative side of stuff, and all that kind of thing. So I started picking it up again as a hobby. And my first job when I finished uni was basically doing a whole bunch of different things, but one of them being helping on the marketing side for a conference centre. And that kind of led me into web projects, because they were redesigning they commissioned a local company actually in Kent to redesign their corporate website. So I kind of got involved in that project from a kind of project management point of view, being the client. And that really just opened my eyes to how powerful web was. And, it was just when people started talking about SEO and the power of that, and how you can optimize a website and all this kind of thing. So I was so excited and blown away by it, and also really aware that it was so new and fresh, and no one in the business community really seemed to understand it or be aware of how powerful it was. Yeah. And you'd go to these project meetings, and they were like, 20-year-old guys there who were the web developers at the time, telling you about all these, really complicated, interesting stuff. And I thought, this is amazing. I want to work in this industry. It's phenomenal. So from then on, I basically just tried to start teaching myself, and, getting books and just grabbing whatever I could, just to learn more about the industry as a whole. And that really kept me on the design front, really, on the visual side. And but in that, I started playing around with HTML and CSS and that kind of thing. And over a period of maybe 3 or 4 years, I basically got to the point where I'd done enough personal projects that I thought I might try and take on some paid work. And so I just, through personal contacts and family and stuff like that, did a few free jobs for people just to try things out, and that seemed to go really well. And eventually got to the point where I thought, no, I think I'm at a point where I could actually apply for a job here. So I just started looking for local jobs, and that's what got me into the job I'm in at the moment, really. So it's a really roundabout way in. Yeah,
that is seriously cool, though. I mean, I always think passion is the most important thing. And obviously you had that, you were buying all the books and all the rest. And I guess, for anyone, would you say that you have to have a university course or anything like that if you want to get into web design? Or
this is a really topical one for me, as Fraser will know, because I recently had an interesting situation with a project I was working on, and the client, the graphic designer who works with the company, basically wanted to grill me on my qualifications for what I did. I don't know the reasons for that or where that conversation came about, but actually I found it really quite unsettling, because it was like, well, I understand where you're coming from, and you're the company paying, so you've got a right to know. But at the same point in time, I'd rather be judged on the quality of my work and stuff like that. So, yeah. My personal view is that you don't need a university degree to be fantastic and amazing at what you do, and you shouldn't feel that you need one to justify your worth, in providing a service that people pay for. But even more so, and on top of that, I think it applies in the web industry, where it is such a new thing and it's developing all the time. There literally aren't people, or there aren't many people who've grown up in the industry, and can say, I've got a degree in the industry and I've grown up in it, and I've got all that experience and I've seen it go from square one.
Yeah.
So that's my personal view.
Yeah, I think as well, like, you're saying in terms of learning web design or learning web development, and like you say, the industry does move so quick. So whereas, like, you can teach someone psychology, because I guess psychology is a level thing of this or in whatever year we're in now, 2014. So you can go to uni now and study psychology, and you'll learn the same thing that your mum would have learned 30 years ago. Whereas if one okay,
it doesn't apply.
Maybe not psychology or history or something like that. So you're learning the same thing. Whereas in terms of web design and web development and stuff, like a syllabus that was written a year ago could be out of date for next year's students, and it's I guess it is something that's really hard to make a course out of, because it does move so fast.
Yeah,
I tried to find a course when I decided I wanted to do this for a living. I tried to find courses, and I just couldn't find any that were specific to actual writing code.
Yeah,
I mean, there probably were some out there, but it wasn't as easy to find as you would think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. I mean, when I first started, I was trying to look for like evening courses and stuff, and it was just so hard to find. And to be honest, like, as we've discussed so many times in different episodes, like, there's more than enough resources on the web, but in the back of your mind, you're also thinking, do I need a piece of paper that says I can do this?
Yeah.
But I think hopefully, like, one of the things that we've all talked about is that like, if you're good enough, you'll get a job. If you show the passion, if you're looking to learn. I think most employers are, they're pretty reasonable. They're not looking for that piece of paper that says you can do it. It's the actual, your portfolio or whatever. But that's my personal point, and I think I agree with you, Justin. But for me, it's all about the passion of the individual, not like the piece of paper that says they've done this course.
Yeah.
And I think we're all, fairly similar backgrounds, aren't we? So
yeah.
But I've got a list of questions for you, as long as my arm. But if you guys got some questions, then please go for it for Justin.
No.
That's it.
You never know who to go first. I've got a good one. I've got one. I can lead one. So, Justin, obviously, web design is something that changes frequently. On a very, very, and it's technologies are changing and everything like that. How do you sort of cope with that challenge to sort of keep up with it all? What are your sort of resources that you go to actually like see how things are changing and to get new ideas and stuff?
It's a really good question, because it's one of those things that I think a lot of web designers would say can be difficult, because you're so busy. Particularly if you're working for a company, because you've got pressures and things that need to happen. The way I do it is I sign up to just about any basically web design blog or anything like that I can find, and just get newsletters by email. And from that, I just build up an archive of emails, basically. And if I'm ever stuck for inspiration or anything like that, or have a spare 5-10 minutes, you can just browse through those and see what's going on. And they're great. You can spend hours on that. There's also some really good books out there, like web design kind of little annuals and stuff like that, full of current trends and that kind of thing, which is quite handy. But yeah, there's so much out there. It's
what seems to be the main big thing at the moment. Is it all responsive, or is there even newer kind of things?
Do you know what? I'm not sure if I'd even be confident to say I knew what the big thing was, because it's and that for me is the beauty of the industry we work in.
Yeah,
because there may be something that amazing that is just come out and people are talking about, and you don't yet know about, but you're going to find out tomorrow, and that's what I love about it. I think for me, responsive is like the revelation of responsive is come and gone now, and it's just one of those books on the bookshelf. But in terms of what's current and that kind of thing, I don't know. I don't honestly know. I think
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I'm aware of is the responsive element. Definitely.
How did responsive stuff? Because there was a big old surge if it wasn't there like a year or two back. How has it changed your thinking being a designer? You know, because it's not that strict 960 grid anymore. Well, not even a grid. You know, you use the grid now, but there's not that. You know, I want to be in this 720, 1024 kind of thing, and keep like that.
Yeah. In so many ways, it's changed everything in so many ways. I had on this topic, I had a really interesting question by a marketing consultant this week, which was we were talking about responsive, and she said, "Oh, will that be included in the project? I mean, do people even build websites that aren't responsive anymore?" And for her, she didn't understand why that wouldn't happen.
Wow.
Surely every website is responsive, and that's coming from someone who's commissioning these things on a day-to-day basis. So that really took me aback and made me think a lot. And I said to her that that not every website necessarily needs to be responsive. Maybe just floating the idea out there, and perhaps there is still a market for mobile variants for certain things. It's nice not to have the pressure to make something work on a mobile device that really works really well on a desktop, and that kind of thing.
Doesn't it limit your design? What you can actually do because of those constraints now. That I have to think about the fact that the code's going to have to make it move and stuff like that when it was. I
think. Maybe if I was a better designer, I'd say no, but I think the answer is definitely yes. I'm constantly aware of it if it's a responsive project, and I'm constantly aware that certain things are just not going to work well on mobile, or you're going to have to come up with a better way of doing it or a different way of doing it. And the other question it raises really is, again, if you look at it from a commercial perspective, unfortunately, you've got to think it does add a lot of time and onto the project, both from a design and development point. And
testing and everything. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And even in terms of the client liaisons, because I know we've put something out quite recently, and this has been a lot of back and forth with the client in terms of even like them saying, "Oh, does this fit in the page?" or "Oh, this doesn't fit in the page," and that kind of thing. And it's more for them to review and more for them to question, and not that that's a bad thing at all, but it adds time to the whole process, because it's not just looking at one thing on one device that you're then getting them to sign off on. It's an added element that they have to do the back and forth on as well.
That's true. Although, if you look at it from the other angle, it is actually nice to be able to, when a client, because this often happens. I mean, I'm sure everyone can relate to it. You produce a website for someone, and you find out, halfway through the project that they only use an iPad. They've never turned their computer on, or they don't even have a computer. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like everything they view, all the PDFs you show you, the visuals, all the test sites that they see, it's all on an iPad or something like that. And it's like, oh, that explains everything. And if it's a responsive project, it's really nice to have the freedom to say, okay, yeah, we'll fix that for that particular resolution. We'll change the way it looks for that. And that can bail you out, I think, of some situations. Especially, there's a classic example, like Fraser said, of projects we've got going on at the moment, and it's not a responsive project, but the client doesn't like the way it looks on their particular monitor. And no matter how many times you say, you've got a tiny monitor, basically, and if we design it to your monitor, 99% of the population looking at your website, it's going to reduce the impact of it. They still want it to look good on their computer, and at least responsive design gives you a bit more freedom to do that and to kind of get over those hurdles, which is quite nice.
You should work out where their IP address is, and then whenever they get a request, just say no. Just in big old 72 point no in Comic Sans.
Impossible.
Well, out of interest, what screen are they viewing that on? Like a netbook, or is it?
No, it's a desktop computer. I can't remember the resolution off the top of my head, but it is really, really small.
680 by
no, not quite that small. But it's really small.
1024, 768. That kind of old school.
It might be. Yeah,
I remember that was like high res as well.
Back in the day. Oh dear.
I do find it quite scary. I remember like you coming back into the office like after you went on, was it like some exhibition or something, and you came back and said, "Look, guys, we need to be doing responsive." And I remember the first time hearing that word from you, and now to think how far we've come. But you're absolutely right that like I remember at the time thinking, well, look, this is a great income opportunity for us, and whereas now, like I know at our place, responsive is default. And I don't think clients expect to pay any more money for that.
Do you think clients actually know what it is?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
Because is it sniffing? Is it the fact that it will look different on the iPad to look, or is it responsive in the sense of if I, glide my, change my
rescale
my browser, it's going to change, gracefully. Because there's that still divide between, I'm just going to sniff to say if it's that res, it's going to look like this, but if it else, it's just going to get the main, I think even in the dev circles, we're kind of still working out what people want.
From the technical side of things, I completely agree. But I think there's a lot of people out there now who know the buzzword responsive.
Because of .NET Magazine. They've seen it on there. They're like, we can now say this. And
exactly. And I mean, I personally think it's another part of the, the race to the bottom with the web. I really, it kind of frustrates me.
So much hassle, though. It's such a hard job. But they are beautiful websites, you see. And I think the problem is you just see stuff like Google doing this and all these really high-profile sites being able to do this because they've got a lot, of backing behind them. And people are like, it looks so cool. But it's like the amount of work that goes into that is just insane.
Yeah. Well, I think responsive is a topic we could cover in itself, and if and perhaps even get Justin back on to do a podcast on responsive design. That'd be awesome.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
I've got another question for you.
Go for it.
What is your pet hate with developers?
Yes, good question, sir. Dish the dirt. You can limit it to 5.
Mike, you might want to log off for a minute here while he answers.
I was going to say I need more of one.
Yeah,
actually, we probably all need to.
That's a really good question. In fact, I think after I answer this, we should flip it around. And what's the pet hate with designers?
Oh, okay.
Easy. Where do we start?
I think I don't know whether this is coming at it from a design perspective or maybe more a design / project management perspective. But for me, when you send something to a developer and maybe they missed something off the design, I don't have a problem with that at all because it's natural. I miss stuff all the time. You just can't spot it. But for me, a developer, their job is to make sure they've tested what they send back, thoroughly, and it works across browsers and it works across devices. And I don't think it's the designer's job to retest that and say, I found this bug, I found that bug. So that's probably one of my pet hates, because I don't feel it's the job of the designer to do that. That's the developer's job. They should build it properly. Yeah. If they've missed something from the design, no problem. Everyone misses things. That's easy to do. But it's got to work. And even I've even found compatibility and stuff like that, and best practices. I shouldn't even have to know that the HTML5 way of doing this might not work in this particular thing. I don't want to know that necessarily. Do you know what I mean? I want the developer to take care of that and make sure it flawlessly works.
Yeah.
But that's a difficult thing to say because you don't always have a design that works flawlessly either. But no one critiques it in that way. So I know it's a tall order, but
that is a good thing. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing, I suppose the thing is so I've been a web designer. Do you not want to be part? Because I suppose that's the hard thing about in print media and stuff. Nowadays, as you say, you do have this problem of the dev comes to you and goes, I can't get it working on this browser. So you do unfortunately get kind of told the problems. You're like, and does that obviously then must change your design views of feeling like, I know that person, that person's not going to be able to make this like that, etc. because of these browsers, and then that restricts you more. Or do you still just go, I'm going to design something that I would like to see on a page, and then and then...
No, I think if I've understood your question right, I do actually think that's exactly where you get the difference, and you get someone who's skilled as a web designer compared to just a graphic designer or or an art director or something like that. I think it's the web designer's responsibility to know that's doable. You can do that, or here, visually anyway. Here's a good way of doing that. This won't work. This will work. And if they don't know, go and find a developer and chat it through with them when they've got some time. I do think that's the designer's job to do that and to listen. If something's not going to work or it's not going to be good for best practice, then it's got to change.
Yeah, no, I think that's an accolade that I'd like to give. Well, Justin, he knows this anyway, but it's really a pleasure working with Justin because he is a web designer rather than just like a blanket designer. Because we work with a couple of agencies that feed us designs to do either websites or HTML emails from, and then with all due respect, they haven't got a clue about web design and about HTML email design, and we'll kind of get this thing that they've put together in Photoshop. So there's a box up here and a box up here, and it's basically going to come out being like a load of images stuck together with a bit of text over the top. And it's generally stuff that doesn't work on the web, and it's stuff that'll look perfect in a magazine or on a flyer or something like that. But when chucked into a website, it's like you've got this static, rigid thing, and then you send it back to them and say, "Oh, it doesn't look perfect on an iPhone or an iPad." And it's the understanding of what, or not just what you need to do to make stuff work on the web, but what kind of the way people use the web and that kind of thing. Because again, going back to a project that I hinted at before, or that Justin was talking about when they were saying, "Oh, it doesn't all fit onto one page." And I thought, well, websites generally don't do that because you've got all this scrolling page to go down underneath, and it's just a real pleasure working with an actual web designer rather than working with one of these design agencies that's been doing print design for 30 years and we need to get into web design because that's where everything is these days.
I completely agree.
That would be me.
I don't want to just keep praising Justin all the time, but I truly hate when I get things wrong. I really hate it. But Justin, you give me a kick up the backside quite a few times, but metaphorically, not physically, but yeah, I really thank you. Honestly, it was good. It was what I needed. And the thing is, I would see you working till let's not kid ourselves, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night sometimes in the office. And so to know the amount of attention you put into that PSD, and then for someone to go and not do what you've done, I could really appreciate how frustrating that must have been. And I guess you were saying about how's it compare working with a designer who's working in Cornwall. I guess the front end developers don't see that. So I completely agree. I can't argue with what you said. I think that's a really fair criticism, to be honest.
I suppose that. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just saying. I suppose that comes down to the fact of saying, "All right, the design's done," and you ship it off to a development team, and then you don't see it again. It's that you do want that continued, daily, even probably a couple of times a day. Oh, how's it going? That kind of check-in and stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what you were really good with actually with the check-ins because. I'd say us being developers, we just go, the code looks pretty. As long as the code looks pretty to us, we're fine.
And it functions,
and it does the functionality and stuff.
And it looks something like
exactly. That's exactly it. Or we found this nifty trick we can do in code to make it look like this.
Yeah.
But the problem is it won't look like what you want, but it looks cooler in code, so it doesn't really matter, So that's the kind of thing, isn't it? It's that you want to be you want this back and forth between the two, and maybe that's why it is good working in the same office with each other. Maybe a table away, just because you can just keep an eye on each other about what's going on. Maybe you're doing the design, you're like, oh, hang on a minute, I don't know if we could do that, or you'd come over and that looks nothing like I wanted it to do.
Yeah,
that kind of.
Yeah, I used to say that to Michael all the time, actually.
I do miss you saying whatever, Michael, all the time.
I do miss you.
Such a bad liar.
I think just...
Was that Dennis?
That is Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis
is that a cat?
Dennis. Yeah, sorry.
I thought it was a kid.
Dennis.
Is that you? Oh, wow.
Sorry. Yeah, Mike, you might want to go and check on your wife.
No, Abby's not giving birth. It's the cat, and she's just evacuated him. So sorry about that. That's thrown us off. but yeah, no, it is a fair criticism, and I definitely look back at it and think it made me a better developer. So
any more, Justin, so you can dig yourself a bigger hole.
I might leave it there. Actually,
No.
What about the other way round? Come on.
Okay, he wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Go for it.
One thing I don't.
Ooh, ouch.
It depends on the developer, though, because I suppose, the designer, sorry. Outrageous designs. Stuff with absolute positioning type thing, like no. So what I do hate is if a developer literally says, I want it to look like this, and they literally have their, 1024 by 768 up, and it has to look like that. Or in fact, actually, no, because they're a designer, they're going to have big old monitors, and they want it to look like this big, And it's like, well, what can we do? And it's, the stuff's not, it doesn't flow. There's no way of making it responsive. It's all static, images, JPEG type photo images that won't, that have to be that way, vector style. And, well, not vectors, but, those rasters. And that, to me, I suppose, gets me a bit annoyed, because there's like, literally all you're doing is you're just taking, you're not, the beauty of the web is the fact that it's restrictive, but it's also adaptable. Yeah. And it's like taking that print medium and just saying, oh yeah, I just want this A4 page now, but instead, it's just going to look like this, and it's going to have a scroll bar, and it's going to be the exact same on every website, or every screen browser, and obviously every browser, every screen, every device, and that not even taking into consideration and just thinking, I can just export this exactly what I would have done for the A4, actual, just the magazine, export it to slice it up and think that there's the website. I suppose, and that's another, I suppose, is to think that it's this whole PSD to HTML services. I'm sure you've all heard of these.
Yeah. Aren't they dead? Aren't they dead now?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, they are and they aren't. Like, you still see them around and stuff. And it's, it's literally just some kid who's just got Photoshop and he'll just slice it up for you. But there isn't, right. And it's like all of the text is, I remember doing this on MySpace, I'd made a PSD and I'd slice it up, and then, but the text, or maybe you'd replace some of the text, but that's too, that font's too much, I'm just going to make it just so it's a background image, etc. It's that kind of thing, it's like thinking, I suppose it's just respecting each other's sides, isn't it, really? It's like, development's very hard and the design's even harder. So it's that kind of back and forth.
Yeah. No, I think in future when we start getting those kind of print designs sent over as web designs, we just export them as a PDF and then put that up as the index page.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, that's really what literally you just export it and then do a background image and say that's it.
Yeah.
And and it's one of those things, I suppose. But that, again, this has nothing to do with you, Justin. You're not like this.
Thanks, man.
No, you definitely aren't. You aren't. This is the thing. This is the nice thing. You aren't. You weren't. So. That's one annoying thing that I have found with some designers, but that's just I suppose that's again the different mediums, isn't it? It's people coming in from different backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I mean, you just launched into a whole tirade there. Obviously, you had a lot to get off your chest, but
no, I'm sorry about that.
It's good.
Now. I won't fall off my chair now. I promise.
So you've got Vietnam syndrome, and you just need to get all that therapy out. So, but yeah, my answer would be the exact same thing as what Ed said. I'm just guessing here that Fraser and Lou are going to say the same things, but go for it.
I'm not actually. I'm gonna say quite the opposite. I actually I can't fault designers because I think they just have a very 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 hard job, and they're under a deadline to come up with an idea, and whereas our kind of job is to code stuff, and we haven't actually we might have to come up with like how the code's going to work or anything like that, but we haven't got to come up with anything visual that a client's going to see. And a lot of the time, the designer will do something, it'll get presented to a client, and the client won't be a designer themselves, but then they'll interrogate it and tear it to pieces and then come back. And I often think for designers that's got to be demoralising and frustrating and stuff. That they're obviously using their expertise, and then someone who in a lot of cases doesn't know about design is telling them stuff that they don't like. And I mean, you get that a lot, Justin? Do you experience that?
My experience of that is if you let that kind of thing bother you, you probably wouldn't last very long in the industry, because I think personally you get past that point quite quickly, because you've got to you've got to expect that people aren't going to like it, or they're not going to understand your vision for it or anything like that. And that's just part and parcel of doing it, I think. And actually, if someone doesn't like something I've done, it really doesn't bother me anymore, because sometimes you've done something and actually the client comes up with an idea and you think, that's brilliant, I wish I'd thought of that first. And actually, it takes a turn for the best. It doesn't always happen, often it's the other way around, but I think you need to appreciate that design, there is no necessarily right solution. Sometimes for design it's subjective, and it's one of those things you can't hold it too closely.
Do you find that when you're designing, I've got an echo now, you're always still designing for yourself, or do you ever find that you're designing for someone else, if you know what I mean? Do you always stick to your ideas, or do you ever find that you're perhaps dumbing something down because you know that although you think it's good and most other people will as well, that the client won't like it? Or do you still go with what your gut instinct is?
It's a really good question, because it does raise another kind of learning curve I had, I think, a little while ago. But you always obviously design, you always try and find as much information and as much about what the client's after and envisaging first anyway, because it will save you so much time. And I think you do have to take that into consideration, but you weigh all that out with what they think they want and what you think they will like, and should have, and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really good question, because I think one of the things that's really important and really kind of helped me progress in my design stuff was coming to a point where I wasn't prepared to send something over if I didn't like it myself, or I wasn't really, if I didn't think it was as good as I could do. Because it's very easy to do that, and it's very easy to send something over because you think, I think that's what they're after and they'll probably like it. But when you think about it from another perspective and think, well, actually, I want to be proud of this, and I want it to look good to my standards, the feedback is often twice as good as it would have been, and it's, that's fantastic, I love it, and you get a lot more satisfaction out of it as well. And I think, just putting that extra bit in and stopping yourself pressing send and going, do you know what, I know that's not as good as it should be, I think is a really big part of it. And that's probably transferable to development and anything else, to be honest.
Cool. Hello.
Michael.
That's it for my. That's pretty much all my questions.
Oh, microphone was turned off. Sorry about that. My bad. I was actually just saying, talking to myself, I think there's a line in that argument where I think if a developer goes to the designer and says, "Look, this design, what are you doing to me?" If it's just that the developer's being lazy and he knows it's going to be hard, but it's doable, then that's poor. That's really poor, because we want to be challenged by designers. Surely that's what you want. You don't want to do the same development every day in, day out. But I think if there's something that really truly is there's a technical issue and it's going to cause problems, then I think it's good to talk to the designer and to have a designer who can say, you know what, appreciate what you're saying. Let's see if we can change something, as long as it doesn't go drastically against the vision of the designer.
Yeah.
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think you have to do that, because like we've said before, everything's moving on so quickly. If you don't stay up to date and have that good relationship with the developer, you can say, people don't do that anymore, or, something's changed, or did you know you could do it less way? Then, what's the point almost?
Yeah, absolutely. Fraser, did you have any anything you wanted to slag off Justin about, or
not particular, Justin? No, it's just
right.
Like I said before, it is a pleasure working with a designer who actually knows the web. Because going back to the previous point, yet again, it's kind of the most frustrating thing in the world when you are working with one of these design agencies that don't know the web too well. And there's been a couple of instances where I've been working with a designer and they've sent over a design for a CMS site. And you get the PSD and you look at all the different pages. So they want this all to go into a CMS, but every single page is designed completely different. And they're like, we want to be able to add pages as well. So, well, if you add pages, then we don't know how to make it look how you want it to look, kind of thing. And it's just really, just frustrating. And then I guess the whole pixel perfect thing that we keep banging on about, we have been banging on about previously. That's absolutely not down to the fault of the designer. It's kind of like, I think a point that Ed touched on was, as developers, we are so focused on getting it working right and getting the code looking nice and getting the code working well. It's very easy for us to overlook what we should be doing, and that's the actual making it look as it should look. And it is quite frustrating. It does happen where I'll do some work that Justin sent over for me to build, and I'll send it back, and he's like, oh, this is out of place, and this is out of place, and it's like these little things like, oh, can you move this left like 2 pixels? And then we're sitting there going, what's the point? But like the point is, that's his craft, and it's his craft that it is a case of, it is that defined, whereas we maybe don't have quite the artistic eye to see that that's such a big deal. But I guess that's a big frustration, but it's no fault of the designer at all, and it's absolutely on our heads that we're not building that to be pixel perfect in the first place anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
and Justin tries to play footsie with me under the desk.
That used to be my spot. I used to sit opposite Justin.
Oh,
happy times.
You left. Get used to it.
It's over.
Well, this has by far been my favourite podcast we've done so far. It's been brilliant. But I've got a quiz to kind of wrap up with. I know we've only kind of scratched the surface with design, but I'm sure we will have Justin back on in the future because it's been brilliant. But
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
What's the format?
Well, I'm going to have to explain the format on a question per question basis because it's a bit different.
Okay.
But they're kind of design based. But yeah,
there's one person who's going to be good at this, and 3 that may struggle.
No, not really. I think you all have a fair shot at this. Yeah. Okay,
you say that now.
Okay, so first question. You can all answer this, so you don't have to scream all at once. But basically, whoever gets the closest will get the point. Okay. Ooh. So, when did Photoshop first come out? I'm looking for a year.
So much.
Oh.
1991.
1991.
Were you allowed to use Google?
No.
Okay. Well, so we all guess, and then the closest.
Yeah.
Because you said you used Photoshop 2, didn't you? Yeah, Justin.
I don't know. It must have been at least 2, if not earlier.
Because that's interesting. What year would that be then? I've already jumped mine, so I'm screwed anyway. But
I'm going to go for 97.
97.
I was going to have 97.
Unlucky.
I'll go 96 then, just to block him.
Okay. Oh, you're not Lou. Fraser, 96. Lou.
Law of averages, I'm going to say 95. Law of averages means nothing there. I just thought I'd say it.
And the winner is, I hate this, is Edman.
Back of the net. Have some of that. Designer God.
Actually, this is from Wikipedia, so don't shoot me if it's wrong. But it says 1987.
Really?
What?
Wow.
I don't think
7. I bet that was looking good.
The general web wasn't till 1988.
Yeah, the Macworld Photoshop, isn't it?
I guess a photo editing package, wasn't it?
Like all that. It's everything now, isn't it? It's all things drawn men. Wow,
look at that.
87.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, do a search for Photoshop 1987.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking of CS. I was thinking of Creative Suite.
Yeah, because that would have been 2002 or something like that, I think.
No, it'd be earlier.
Because it was I was using 6 in the early 2000s, I think.
I remember 7 in the early 2000s as well. Yeah, because 7 was like the one.
2001, I think.
All right. Question 2. So I'm going to say everyone can get a point for this. So again, it's not a race, but what was the first browser to apply CSS?
Mosaic.
Ed, Mosaic.
I'm going to say Netscape. Navigator.
Pro.
Escape.
Awesome.
Justin and Lou.
These are good.
Netscape Navigator, 'cause that's the oldest one that I've heard of, so I'm just going to go with that.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Ed, because Ed normally knows what he's talking about, so I'll just say Mosaic.
Oh,
okay. Again, this is Wikipedia, so don't shoot me, but it was Internet Explorer.
Unbelievable.
So no one got a point there.
When did it stop doing that then?
Well, that's my next question. Well, actually, nearly. Okay, so again, we'll go for the closest year, but what year did IE adopt CSS?
Oh, I hate you so much.
I hope these answers are right, but it is from Wikipedia, so
it's definitely wrong.
Can I go first?
Go
Yep.
2021.
Good shout. Next.
Hi, Bill Gates.
96.
96. Okay.
96, I reckon.
Ed?
95.
Justin?
97.
Okay, let me just check. And the answer is 1996, which was Fraser's guess.
Boom, sir. And that was, what was that? That was, what version of IE was that? Was that the original IE?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. I don't know. I should have written it down.
Was it?
Do I get extra points for being 25 years out?
And actually, no. Do you get the extra points for being right? Pretty much that it doesn't deal with CSS. So yeah, you win.
Good point. Okay, this is going to be first answer, I think.
Oh,
Okay,
buzzers.
So yeah, buzzers are ready.
Beep.
Yeah, just say your name to buzz in. What CSS feature allows you to do simple arithmetic?
Lou?
Sorry, did someone just buzz in?
Yeah, don't know. Oh, is that not what the point was? Oh, I thought the point was whoever buzzes in first, sorry.
No, try again. But you're disqualified from the round now.
Oh.
Is it eval, or am I making that up?
You're
It's not,
making
is
that
it?
up. That's PHP.
Yeah.
Is it content?
Nope.
I have no idea. Is this a CSS3 thing, or has it been around for a while?
I think it is, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Sounds
I think
good.
Justin, you're the only one left who's got a guess.
Justin.
He's blatantly on
We should
Google.
sign and knock it out of the park.
I do actually feel like I've heard of this before, but I don't know what it is.
Open it up in Photoshop. Get a PNG.
Are you conceding?
I don't know.
Okay. It is calc. And it looks like a function, basically. I guess it is.
Really? You can. Why?
Yep.
Is that? Oh wow! Is that to do stuff like the not responsive, but dynamic?
Yeah, I tested it out before. Basically, I just created a quick dev site, and then basically you can do things like width, and then you just put calc, and you can put like I think you have to put like the type. So you put like 300 pixels minus 100 pixels, and it will set your width to.
Can it
Well,
get? I don't know if I asked it. Can it actually get like the current width of the browser?
I don't.
You know what you should
know.
have just said? You should have just said JavaScript.
Yes.
But that would have been cheap.
But yeah,
Just JavaScript. It does
I
everything
tested
now.
that does work.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah,
So who needs SAS less than that lot? You know,
exactly.
we have CSS3.
Okay, at round 4, we have Ed on 1 point, Fraser on 1 point, Lou on 0, Justin on 0.
Oh,
so,
Fraser,
still
my arch
everything-
nemesis.
Boom, head to head.
Disappointed.
Question 5. Hang on, who can answer this? You can all answer this, okay? So there's no race. Is the rel attribute required when adding a style sheet?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
not now. It's not. I don't think.
Yes. Like, when you say, is it required? Like,
Yeah.
does standards dictate that it should be used, or will it physically not work without
Would
it?
it physically not work?
I reckon it physically won't work. No, I reckon it physically will, because I'm going to play game theory again.
Okay, Lou?
I'm going with yes. It needs to be there to work.
Okay.
I think it doesn't.
I think it doesn't as well. I'm with Lewis on this.
Okay, well, actually, this just came back because I just screwed up my cell sheet before, but I think it definitely is needed, so Ed and Justin get a point.
It's the only one that's really annoying because in scripts and stuff, it's the type
Yeah.
you don't need. Types, they
Yeah.
don't even use the type. It's so
Exactly.
stupid. It's one of the most stupid things ever to even have a type because it reads it from the file anyway.
Yeah, I had a typo in my rel bit, so it wasn't working. So, that
Well, as
is
it was
now...
a 50-50 response, that one, I got it half right. So can I have half a point?
No.
I'm stuck on 0 then.
Can I ask a random question?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the
Why is
difference
this-
between a serif and a sans serif font?
Oh, I know this.
3 letters and a dash.
4 letters.
Does anyone else want to answer?
Yeah, it's the little ticky bits at the end and the top, isn't it? Like where you've got your H and stuff. When you've got the
bits.
Yeah, the little
The
kind
small
of
decorative flourishes, as they say.
That's it. Yeah.
Weird.
So does Fraser get a point for that, or is that just a?
I don't know. I just randomly saw it, and it's like, honestly, I think what does the M measurement stand for?
the N.
EM. You know, you use EM.
Right, yeah.
Height of the EM, isn't it?
Oh,
and was it originally like used as a unit of measurement before it was actually on the web? EM was used for
typography.
It was definitely used for typography, but what was it used? Like, what was the unit of measurement like equivalent to? EM.
Points. Pickers.
I know this.
Pixel.
Because there's another one as well that's a lowercase, but I can't remember it. But EM.
Rem.
EM. M.
I don't know.
Emasculated.
Justin?
So, hold on, what's the question again?
So originally, the M measurement, was roughly equivalent to what, though? What was it? What was the equivalence of it?
Oh, right, okay. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Don't know.
So it's the equivalent of to the width of a capital M in a given typeface.
Oh, really?
At that specific point size.
But we already said that.
Did you?
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Oh, well, there you go.
Right.
I just kept this going.
I've just subtracted a point from Ed, so he's now back on 1.
I hate you so much.
Justin's on 1.
That guy will email and he will write again.
I said the height. I'm sorry, I said the height. No, I don't get the point.
Capital M.
Do I have to give Ed his point back?
There is a smaller one. There's one for a lowercase as well. I don't know if it's EA or something. But...
All right, I've given Ed his point back. Okay, question 6. You ready?
Oh, sorry, you had more questions. Sorry.
How many are
there? Yeah.
There's
10.
10
questions.
Really? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was the end. I was wrapping up.
I mean, most people have probably stopped
Most
listening
people
by
have
now,
long
but-
gone by now.
Oh, yeah. This is mainly for us.
I'd actually gone. I thought we were finished.
All right, rapid fire. Okay, you can all answer this, so no race. Can you have multiple backgrounds with CSS?
Yes.
CSS3 you can.
I believe Fraser. I think Fraser taught me that once. Didn't you, Fraser? You came upstairs and showed me that.
So you all go for
the
yes.
CSS backgrounds or something?
Yeah, using more than one background. I'm sure you came up and gave me a demonstration of that when I was at 360.
Everyone go for yes?
Yeah.
So you better say yes.
Surely.
I did say yes. I think it's just CSS3 though, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't specify, but yeah, you can. So you've all got a point there.
Yeah.
Question 7. What is the CSS syntax to format your paragraphs into columns? And I'll accept.
Column, colon, and then the actual number of columns you want.
Maybe.
Columns, colon, and then the number of columns you want.
I don't know how I'm pointing this one, but okay, I want browser-specific declarations.
Dash
Hyphen
web
hyphen columns.
column dash count and then colon.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, okay. I'll give a point to Ed for that. He was first in, I guess.
That's what they
All
say.
right.
Sorry.
I wasn't actually given the opportunity to give my answer there, Mike.
Oh, he's going to riot. He's angry now.
I'm already up against it so far, and now you're not even letting me answer.
All right, I'll give you a point.
Mine would be $ columns because I'm using SAS.
Nice. Like
Yeah.
it.
Do I get a point for that?
You do. I'm just giving you a point.
Fantastic.
Okay, right. Okay, so anyone can come in on this, but first in, first gets a point, okay? But there's multiple answers, so you can keep going and get as many points as you want. Smash and grab.
Smash
Okay.
and grab.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, that did.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. What features will be in CSS4?
Oh, my day.
Shout your name to buzz in.
Variables. Ed,
What?
variables.
Ed, variables. Actually, it might be. I don't know, but it's not on my list.
Oh. This is.
I don't even know if this is official, but it was from their website.
What's CSS?
I reckon you'll be able to do like maths. Like, do you know how in SAS and lesson stuff you can do like this colour minus 50% darkness or something.
Oh yeah, can you have the functions in CSS?
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
what I meant.
I don't know. It's not on my list. You have to name something that's on my list.
Oh,
basically.
great. How many have you got on your
okay,
list?
I've got one.
Go on.
Vertical centering.
It's not on my list.
Oh,
Sorry.
You being serious?
parent selectors.
Yes.
Boom.
One for Fraser.
What are parent selectors?
It's like when you selected. Yeah, it's basically like you do a.
Oh, so you can
I
actually
don't know,
go up the
it's not come
DOM.
out yet.
You can go up the DOM.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
pretty
you can
cool.
say this its parent has to be styled like this.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you can do some massive chain this, the last parent, the parent, the parent, the parent.
Yeah.
Oh, there must be some sudo stuff you can do. Some funky regular expressions in sudo.
I don't know. It's on my list. Sorry.
I hate regular expressions.
Yeah, me too. Everyone hates regular expressions.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
If they keep it out, I'll be happy. Man.
Can you change the font rendering, like the way it appears?
It's not on my list. Sorry. This is a
marquee tag. Marquee. Blink. We get them back.
Marquee is default now on any H1
H1 tags. I like it.
Yeah, you have to set marquee to false.
Thank God.
If you want to get rid of
false, and then you have to also have a password that's unique to every instance.
May I venture an answer?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, just off the top of my head, I would have to say, first of all, obviously, responsive design is undoubtedly the big thing of 2013, or it was. With media queries, it's never been easier to adapt a site for multiple devices and screen sizes, giving the user a better experience. But the only real obstacle left, you'll all agree with this, is page loads. Connection speeds are still worryingly slow for a large portion of visitors.
This has been deducted.
So, I think they should come up with something, I don't know, pre-responsive design or something like that.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because that would then allow you to apply preload states for slower connections.
Correct.
How about dynamic image loading?
It's not on my list.
I don't like your list.
Are you all cheating now?
I'm being serious. I'm just trying. I'm throwing stuff out there that I'd like to see.
Anyway, we need to move on because it's going on for ages. I'll tell you what's on my list. Yeah.
Well, I think Fraser won actually because he got the parent
definitely what I just said.
Yeah.
And also,
okay.
If not, your source is wrong.
Okay, you've got script. You can do things like alert messages, like you do in JavaScript.
How is it called? How does it style them and call them?
I don't know.
Why would you?
I know that's very true as well. That's a very good point for it. Why would you? You've got JavaScript. It's everywhere now.
Yeah. You've got. I need to pronounce this right. CLIS, which is server-side style sheets, which I appreciate doesn't match up to the acronym. But you can do styling for your.
So it's just templating languages then.
You can do styling for the command line.
What?
Basically,
so
you can
it's just it's like it's using CSS, but on that's pretty cool actually.
Yeah. So proper email styling support. Again, I don't know anything about it, but that's
email,
in there.
that would be.
Yeah, but then aren't all the email clients going to have to catch up to that anyway?
That's very true as well. I guess that's
how can they wave that as a feature? Why don't they just say, "Oh well"?
I guess that's the way, isn't it? Someone has to catch up, I guess. But luminosity.
Sorry.
Oh wow.
Luminosity. Luminosity.
I thought is this a new nickname you've given me, or what?
Yeah, luminosity.
What's luminosity?
I don't know. Again,
Justin.
It's a really awful.
Like those fluorescent pens you used to get at school.
Luminosity.
Yeah. What is that?
Surely it's brightness, isn't it?
It is. That is what it is.
Oh, so it's just like whacking up the brightness and down. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And drag and drop pseudo classes, so you'll be able to detect when something's been dragged and dropped.
Why are they making JavaScript in CSS?
Don't know.
And they didn't have variables. I'm sure they have variables now because they've got alerts. Why not have variables?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they have alerts before they have variables in CSS? What a waste of time.
But isn't CSS
you have to hard code?
Isn't CSS cleaner and lighter than JavaScript? And it will still work if someone's got JavaScript turned off.
Well, I guess
true.
It is
they're
now.
idiots, those people, anyway.
Where will it end?
But the trouble is like then they're going to have a browser that's compatible. They're more likely to have JavaScript on with an old browser.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
And if they haven't got JavaScript turned on, then they're not real people.
That's
anyway,
exactly
so
it. We just say no script and you just display none on the page.
Right, a rapid fire last two questions.
Go for it.
Okay, so the nearest pound you can all guess.
How much do you weigh? No, joking. Love you.
If you were to buy Adobe Photoshop today...
no, just Photoshop on its own.
Just Photoshop.
Justin's bought this.
What would it cost you?
£399.99.
I need to be specific here. This is, from what I could find on the Adobe website, it's Photoshop, CC, and Lightroom 5.
Oh, what you want Lightroom 5? So yeah, it's still £399.99.
I reckon £279.95.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm going to go for... Well, I would have gone where Fraser's going, but just for the sake of being different, I'm going to go $4.50.
Okay, I feel I may have cocked up this quiz because basically when I went on the Adobe website, I could only get the monthly cost.
Oh.
So,
the subscription. You want the subscription?
yes, please. Yeah.
£12 a month.
£9.99.
$9.99.
Okay, Justin.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. What currency are we playing in?
Pounds.
Okay.
About £7.50.
£20 a month.
God, this is getting confusing. So, hang on, right? Okay, so Justin's 20. Lewis was $7.50 or something.
Yeah.
And then
$7.51.
$7.51. Thank you. That's great. Thanks. Ed.
£9.99.
£9.99. Fraser.
£12.
So I think Lou wins that one. If my maths is okay, it's £8.78 a month.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And question 10. Okay. This is first in, buzz in. Who did the founders of Adobe Systems originally work for? Is that Fraser?
Me. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to say Macromedia.
Wrong. You're out.
I know where they worked. I know where they worked.
For Adobe?
Yep.
Okay. Quark? I don't know.
Nope.
Apple?
Apple.
Nope.
Microsoft.
No. Hang on, you've already answered.
It's not Apple.
Oh,
sorry.
Asda.
Corel?
Everyone starts off at Asda, so they must have worked there at some point.
No. I think you're all out, to be honest with you. So,
what was it?
I'm just hoping that these weren't like bought out by one of the companies that you all just said. But Xerox Park.
Oh, so it was an academic thing.
I don't know. It was just two guys from Xerox Park. They broke away from there to.
So they were working the paper company Xerox.
Yeah.
In the park.
Photocopiers.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So I think I think Fraser's got it again. You know.
No, I have got.
Oh.
I've got Ed as 4-2.
Yes. Take that, guys.
Boom.
I'd like to thank everyone who believed in me. We did get the points back, guys.
Yeah.
Fan mail is.
It was outrage in that email, wasn't it? I didn't realise
we had a rage mail. I loved it. Made me feel good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we probably need to wrap it up because it's gone quite along. But I really enjoyed that podcast, so thank you so much to Justin for joining us tonight.
And I think the only people who are listening to the rest of it is just us. So hi everyone that we're listening. Hope you're having a good day at work, guys.
But we will be back next week. I'm not going to say topic because it always changes, but I'm sure we will have Justin back on sometime to talk responsive. I think that'd be really good to get his perspective rather than ours. So,
can I say as well, if anybody out there fancies leaving us an iTunes review, even a horrible one, then that would be very appreciated. We've only got 2 on there at the moment, and one of them might have been by myself.
I was thinking that Fraser one looks pretty familiar, but
yeah.
Have we had any more Reddit reviews?
Sorry?
Has there been any more Reddit reviews? I know you love that.
No, I've not posted on Reddit in a while.
All right, okay.
Bad feelings. But yeah, if people want to keep sending us email, then it's obviously great when we get your emails, so we love those. And follow us on Twitter if you not follow us on Twitter. And if anybody wants to come on, let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Justin,
it's been nice talking to you, Justin.
It's been great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me.
See you tomorrow, Justin.
And we're going to post the chat history on the blog as well in the show notes, so you'll be able to see a play-by-play, a blow-by-blow, of what's actually gone on.
And perhaps we need to get an ad for Justin and Fraser's job website. If you guys should get an ad from Fiverr.
Yes, you should.
We'll play
it. Yeah. Well, I was thinking because I was actually looking for like some way of doing like auto-tuning. We could make our own.
Oh, I would.
Like if we could somehow, I'm sure you can do it through GarageBand or something.
Hell yeah. But if you send it, I'll put it in.
An auto-tune. So I want to do like an auto-tune like bumper for the quiz that we do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, get the ad ready and we'll put it on the beginning and the end of the podcast. So yeah.
But if anyone out there knows how we can auto-tune on a Mac, let us know. And we will grace you with some amazing music.
Ed, if you know we should definitely do that.
So what?
100%.
Have you not got a sponsor for this week?
I have. I've been drinking Krabby's original alcoholic ginger beer.
Okay.
Are you boozing at the moment?
Well, by bit one solid bottle. But
And do they have a
good.
catchphrase? Or?
They have, it's delicious, nutritious,
Yep.
and it's so good to drink, not eat. So, yeah, guys.
Good for developers, yeah?
It's not as good as the Kona Rebel, though.
Did they ever get back to you?
No. Thing is, the place I bought it from, the 9p shop, turned out they had rats and stuff, so solid, guys. Anyway, I think that's enough for me.
So basically, Cola Rebel gives you rats.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, dear.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.